in whom all treasures of wisdom and knowledge are hidden. Amen. The doctoral dissertation board grants you, Ebenheser Trimargono, the opportunity to defend your doctoral thesis with the accompanying propositions in this public ceremony. And I invite the first opponent, Professor Helene Zorgdrager, who is Professor of Dogmatics and Gender Studies in our university, PTHU, to lead off the discussion. Professor Zorgdrager, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Esteemed candidate, I wish to express my appreciation for your study. It offers an in-depth investigation into the complex problem of interfaith marriage in the context of Indonesia. This is a multi-layered problem, and you don't shy away from analyzing the historical and socio-political context of the Marriage Law 1974, the history and current stance of Protestant churches, marriage theologies in confessional traditions, exegesis of biblical key texts, to build the argument for full acceptance of interfaith marriage, and finally translate it into concrete proposals for church orders. As one of the greatest achievements of your study, I consider your proposal for a theology of marriage, defined as a love relationship between two equal persons, qualified by the values of sacramentality, redemption, and justice. From this, if I may say so, ecumenical understanding of marriage, you derive a theology of interfaith marriage in Indonesian context. In the background is a theology of religions inspired by Nitter and Arya Raja, who wrote, "We need a theology that makes us hospitable." My question is whether you have drawn all consequences of this theology of marriage for the possible stance of churches towards interfaith marriage. I read in your book sentences such as, "It does not mean that churches must promote interfaith marriage. Interfaith marriage is an inevitable reality." Or Principle 4 of the proposed 8 principles for church orders. "The church does not foster interfaith marriage, but if it is inevitable, it is the church's responsibility to help every church member." Well, why should the churches not foster or promote interfaith marriage? I see the practical and political reasons, but are there also theological arguments against it? If interfaith marriage is a gift, a blessing for humanity, as you write, why not foster or promote it? If it is a concrete manifestation in developing a spirituality of the other in daily life, why not foster or promote interfaith marriage? If it is a means to promote peace and to ennoble humanity in a religiously plural society, why not foster or promote interfaith marriage as Christian churches? So are there any theological arguments not to do so, as long as a church order is ensuring the freedom to the non-Christian spouse to stay and worship according to his or her own faith? I look forward to your reflections on this question.
Thank you, learned opponent. Thank you for your encouraged words. For your questions, why I suggest not foster or promote the interfaith marriage. So actually that's my experience in my ministry. Because you know that there's no ideal marriage, even in the same faith. So marriage it's really what's that? Uh, with the consequences not so easy. So for the interfaith marriage, I think that uh, more much consequences for the interfaith marriage is for the interfaith couple to because uh, you know that for the for the pastoral perspective, for example, if the same faith couple they will face with so many problems. So I think that interfaith for the interfaith couple they will more consequences because of different religion and different faith. So I think the responsible is much more in the interfaith marriage rather than in the interfaith in the same faith marriage. So that's why you're right that an interfaith marriage will be promote the peace in the society, but I think that the responsible that's much bigger than the same faith marriage. That's why I don't suggest that the Christian church or the Protestant church in Indonesia will foster or promote the interfaith marriage. That's the one hand, and the other way, the other hand, that's also this is the sensitive issue because not so easy for the Protestant church in Indonesia to promote this interfaith marriage because politically it's not so acceptable, not only with Muslim society. You see in my dissertation also from the other religious community. So I think although there is a positive perspective to promote the peace, but also there's a challenge that's not so easy to embody that spirit to promote the peace.
Would you say that the practical and political arguments are here stronger than the theological arguments?
Yes.
In your case?
Yes, so that's why, and I don't suggest to promote this because you know that. So this is really a sensitive issue. Not when we talk about the marriage, so that's not only we can elaborate from the Christian side, but also we have to consider that from other religion perspective. So I think that's why it is sensitive.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for the moment. I see by the gesture of our colleague Zorgdrager that maybe she would like to come back to that or certain aspects of that, but perhaps there will still be time in the next round. We will now pass on to our colleague, Professor Mohammed Makasib. He is Professor of History of Islamic Cultures at the State Islamic University in Yogyakarta. May I invite you?
Thank you, the Chair. Esteemed candidate, first of all, I want to congratulate you in Javanese, Derek Pinga. My question is that you stated on page 239 that amending the marriage law of 1974 is not easy since this law is regarded as a recognition of Sharia law on marriage. Isn't it a fact that it was passed after long debates in the parliament and demonstration throughout the country between the pros and the cons, especially between the National Women Organization and the Islamic organization? It was a synthesis. It was a synthesis of Islamic aspiration and that of nationalistic views, and not a recognition of Sharia law at all. So I disagree of your, with your statement. Can you give more, more proof for your statement?
Thank you, learned opponent. Could you repeat which page? Sorry.
Yeah, you said that the law of marriage, 1974, is regarded as recognition of Sharia law. And I don't agree, because it was a result of a communication between two sides, between Islamic aspiration and the aspiration of the nationalistic organization, let's say. So I disagree with your statement. So what do you say about my disagreement?
Yeah, okay, thank you very much, learned opponent. As you see in my dissertation, I try to explain the situation and tension during the draft of marriage law 1974, especially the part of an interfaith marriage, or marriage with the people of other faith. I think in this part there is really opposition, oppose this part. So, and then the reaction from the some of the Islamic organization, we can see in my thesis I draw the background when the situation from the historical perspective. Marriage law 1974 is in the nuance, I can say that's a nuance of the situation of in how the Islamic community feel defeat because of process after the independence day of Indonesia to stipulate and promulgate the Pancasila as an the ideology of the state. And especially, I want to say, although the Pancasila was agreeable, but I think the discussion about the Jakarta Charter, that's still there is a great discussion and opposition as well for that, especially with in the first of the principle, belief in God, the obligation of the adherent of Islam to practice Islamic law. I start from that situation, from the historical perspective, and then when the marriage law 1974, in the draft of marriage law 1974, just adopt the regeling op de gemengde huwelijk in Stadblad 1898, where the phrase is a different concerning religion, nationality, or origin can never count as an impediment to marriage. I think in the draft of marriage law 1974, adopt this part. So that is why in the nuance of an what's that in the situation for the Islamic community, they feel that's really defeat because of Jakarta Charter, and then after that with the marriage law. So that's why in my opinion, marriage law 1974 consider as an adopt of the Sharia law. That is why.
No, it is wrong. But look at, for example, one case, for example, in the 1 point, when there is a divorce, then in Islamic law, the lady should wait certain months, 3 until 4 months, before he or she can marry again, because she can marry to someone else. But in this law, it is not only the lady that should wait a certain time, but also the man, the male person should wait a certain time. So it is based on equality, and it is not Islamic law at all. So it is a result of what is it? A synthesis.
Thank you very much. This is a very lively and interesting debate, and it is very good to have opponents really make their opposition truly an opposition. Hopefully, Ebenheser and you, Professor Mackensen, can come together again to make this a much more longer debate, but for the time being now, we will pass on to our colleague Dr. Leon van der Broeke. He is Associate Professor of Religion, Law and Society / Church Polity at the VU University in the Netherlands. Please, the floor is yours.
Esteemed candidate, terima kasih banyak untuk dissertation. I would like to express my gratitude, my appreciation and admiration for your profound research, and also for the relevant, actual today's focus from the perspective of society, politics, theology and religion, and theology also from the perspective of Pancasila. I have a question with you to your book from page 185 in your PDF. From there, you focus on a transformative and empowering church order. It is a fascinating approach, as usually it is not the way in which Protestant denominations consider church orders, as they are not on their bucket lists. Of course, law, including church polity, should not be petrified. In this way, it's not a challenge to second Karl Barth, who considered that church polity should at least be living law. However, I want to challenge you a bit from the perspective of the old juridical adagium, jus sequitur vitam, law follows life. Moreover, usually it is the General Synod of a Protestant denomination which decides upon the text of a church order. However, it hardly reaches the elders, deacons, and pastors, let alone the congregants, the church members. Recently, I wrote myself about an application of this above-mentioned adagium, jus sequitur vitam, namely jus ecclesiasticum sequitur vitam, church polity follows life. Nonetheless, and here's my question, and a bit my concern, do you not expect too much of and overstresses the transformative and empowering nature of renewed church orders and reformed denominations with view to interfaith marriage. And please include in your answer the difference between descriptive and prescriptive church polity.
Thank you very much, learned opponent, for your nice words. Yeah, in my opinion, church order is a product of awareness of church in doing theology. And church polity is a discipline, theological discipline, namely systematic analysis, evaluation, and development of the established regulation. So in my opinion, structure of the church and church order must always revitalized in accordance with the Bible. And also that must be roots in the situation and the local condition. So that's why I propose the transformative church order. From the transformative church order will result transformative church in doing theology. And in my opinion, from this investigation of interfaith marriage, for example, from 99, the synod of member of the Communion of Jesus in Indonesia, there are only 3 synods who accept the interfaith marriage. In the 2019, there are 4, and then in 2019, 1 synod delayed the interfaith marriage service from their church order. Of course, there is a discussion, a deep discussion why they delayed the service of interfaith marriage from the church order. But in my opinion, that is an indication that's among the Indonesian churches, the Protestant churches in Indonesia, they still understand the interfaith marriage. There is a room. There is no room in the church, in the church order. So when we build the church order as a result of the doing theology, I think we need more transformative. That's why I propose the transformative church order as a way to build the transformative church. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this point. I think also that we must leave it to this. I'll maybe come back to you, Professor van den Broeke, if there is time left for a second round. But we continue now and give the floor to our colleague, Dr. G. Speelman, who is Assistant Professor in Religious Studies at PTHU. Please come forward with your question.
Thank you. Esteemed candidates, I want to congratulate you with your work. You have indeed enriched our knowledge and you have contributed to the public debate in Indonesia on a very important topic in a very thoughtful way. I really liked to read your chapter on church policies, where you compare the different churches in their aturan, in their approach of interreligious marriages. And I liked the final end of that chapter where you give an analysis of the official views, putting them into the context of the churches that you debate. In your manuscript, it was on page 102 that I was struck with the approach of the GKI. And in that approach, they foster a pastoral approach to this type of marriage. And they also see the blessing ceremony of the marriage as a pastoral practice, not as a sacrament, in line, of course, with the Protestant Calvinistic approach of marriage. Now, my question is, if that is so in that church, could it also be possible that in the future you could foresee a joint ceremony? That is, with the presence of a Muslim or a Hindu representative in the ceremony. And if so, how could such a ceremony be shaped? I would like to challenge you to creatively think through this approach. Thank you.
Thank you, learned opponent. I agree with you. It is possible to have a ceremony together with a representative of from a religious leader, from ulama or a pastor together in the same ceremony. That is possible, but I think, in my opinion, from the liturgical perspective, I think that there will be a bit difficult. First, that every church, they have a regulation about the liturgy, and we have to consider this one. And the second one, that's also not so easy, because every religion, they have a sense of feeling in the worship. For example, I can say that not so easy for the people from other faith. They join together in the worship and the church. Not only in the worship, just enter in the church. That not always well for everybody. So you can imagine that. I think that's possible, but I think we have to consider so many things about that. In my experience, I've never to do that. I've never to do that yet. I don't know. Maybe for the next time, I will try to find out the way how that the two religious leaders, they will celebrate together in the same ceremony. That will be nice, but in my experience, not so easy. It's difficult from the both sides.
Yes, I do agree. We have some experience with this in the Dutch situation, and it's always very difficult because in different religions, there's also a different idea of what you are doing when you are having a marriage ceremony.
Yeah.
In the GKI case, what they would consider that the marriage ceremony is that they ask a blessing of God of a marriage that has already been performed by the civil authorities. So they ask God a blessing, and you can always ask God a blessing. In some churches, even if you buy a new car, you can ask God a blessing, but just that is very banal, of course. But then you would have to consider what is the meaning of the marriage ceremony in Islam. And you would have to talk very deeply with a Muslim representative of what he or she is thinking they are doing when they are having a blessing or a marriage ceremony. So maybe it's the beginning of a longer conversation.
Yes, yes. But I can give you an example. When we join together and then the simple thing, prayer. Not so easy for the people come together and join in the same prayer. I think in the same place and then pray together. They always pray in their own way, not in the same prayer. I think that's why that. Yes, I agree that is possible. Thank you for your sharing.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll leave it at that. It's just to provoke further developments of thinking. Yeah.
This lively debate, and we would also like to give the floor to our colleague Dr. Volker Küster, Professor of Religious Studies and Missiology at the University of Mainz, Germany. Please, dear colleague Küster, the floor is yours.
Esteemed candidate, what is the beyond of the exclusivism, inclusivism, and pluralism model that you are claiming on page 192 of your PDF? I look forward to your answer.
Sorry, could you repeat your question, Professor?
Of course. My question is, what is the beyond of the exclusivism, inclusivism, and pluralism model that you are envisioning, obviously?
Okay, thank you, learned opponent. At this position, I follow the Boyard, who criticized the pluralist. Of course, in order to build what Wesley Raja said about the hospitality theology, I think we could not follow the what neither type of theology of religion with exclusivism, or he said it's a replacement or fulfillment or also mutuality. I think I follow the Boyard because the pluralist, in some extent, to be exclusive as well. That's the pluralist. Also, pluralists will fall in the relativism because every religion, they have their own way of that's specific for every religion. So that's we cannot just to put the every religion is just the same. We cannot that. But pluralists will fall in the relativism, and also pluralist lack of attention of the faith commitment. Religion just put as just as cloth, and we can replace and exchange. In fact, we have to consider like ritual, prayer, and we cannot ignore this. So in order to build the hospitality theology, we need openness and acceptance. So there's no, I think that's why there's no, we can consider the exclusivism, also the pluralism. But how in the we can with regard to interfaith marriage, we critically implement the pluralism model.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if I just can respond shortly to that. I totally agree with your critique, but I've always been floating the idea that a theology of dialogue would be the way to tackle the shortcomings of these models. And I think that's what you are actually doing. So I was wondering why you are not strongly putting the emphasis on the dialogue paradigm. But maybe that's a discussion we can have when I come to Indonesia next time. So I leave it with this.
Let us hope that that will be soon.
So welcome.
We will now have some minutes left, which is a good part of this defense ceremony. And we will return to the first opponent, Professor Zorgdrager. You can either choose to continue on your first question or start a next chapter.
A next question. One of your conclusions is that interfaith marriage can be considered as a Christian marriage. I oppose against that. I think there is not such a thing as a Christian marriage or a Muslim marriage. There may be Muslim or Christian ceremonies for marriage, but and there is a Christian view of marriage, but there is not such a thing as Christian marriage. Do you agree that this is a consequence of your own theology of marriage, that we can only speak of full marriage, either a full marriage or not a full marriage?
Thank you, learned opponent. Yes, you're right. Marriage is a gift for humankind, for everybody, for humanity. But I think, speak about marriage, you have to consider which spirit that will embody in your marriage. That's why I told this Christian marriage, because this marriage with the spirit of Christianity, with the teaching of Jesus Christ, how we can embody the spirit of marriage from what Jesus Christ teach us about the marriage. So that's why I use the term Christian marriage. Yes, you're right that marriage is a marriage. There is no Muslim marriage or Christian marriage, but I think, in my opinion, a Christian marriage is a marriage with the spirit of Christianity.
And don't you think that the values which you propose for marriage, justice and redemptive and justice, sacramentality, that they also apply to a marriage of two Muslim people or to Hindu or to Buddhist persons?
Yes.
Are these also, well, generally applicable values? Or is it too specific Christian?
Of course, it's not too specific Christian, because you know that as universal spirit, the sacramental, redemptive, and justice value of marriage, this is a biblical message. I have to build the theology of marriage based on the biblical message. So, of course, that's the biblical message, and also that's universal. It can applicable for the other religion.
Thank you.
Thank you for this moment. Please, it's also up to you, our dear colleague, Professor Makasan, to put a next question forward.
Okay, thank you. Now, I want to ask esteemed candidate about the Indonesian context. My question is, why don't you take into account the prejudice saying that mixed marriage constitutes an instrument of proselytization? You may say nothing to this prejudice, but there are many cases where one side of the couple change their religion before marriage or after, short after the marriage. I want to hear your argument for not addressing this case.
Thank you, learned opponent. Yes, I don't take into account deeply in the discussion about the proselytism. I mean, in some cases that the couple who married in a certain religion and then they converted into the other religion. I think that's not so much related to the interfaith marriage, because in my opinion, that is part of the freedom of religion. If that is that case that occur, I think that's not an what's that? That's not the big deal, in my opinion, because I think that's a part of freedom of religion. And if somebody want to convert it into the other religion, but yes, speaking about interfaith marriage, like in Bali, for example, or in some part of church in Java, when we speak about interfaith marriage, the issue about Christianization, for example, that's also the issue should be dealt by the church, because there is a prejudice, like what you said, prejudice that behind the interfaith marriage there is an agenda of evangelization or something like that. But I think, in my opinion, that is not so. That's not my focus. What I want to say, that's not my focus to deep on the discussion.
Thank you for this.
I think thank you for your.
Thank you very much. We would like to give the chance also to Professor Leon van den Broeke to put a second question forward.
Thank you so much. It's attractive to raise another question, but I would like to come back to the first question, also from the perspective of Hukum Gereja from Church Polity. If I listened correct to you, esteemed candidate, you talked in your answer to my first question on we should do this or that with you to church order. My question would be, who is we? And also coming back to the second part of my first question, if there should be something about a rule or more rules on interfaith marriages in church orders, would that be more descriptive or rather prescriptive? I look forward to your answer.
Thank you, Learned Opponent. To be honest, I'm not follow your term descriptive or prescriptive. I'm sorry, I'm
phrase of those words, prescriptive and descriptive, Professor van den Broeke.
Should I highlight it?
Explain it? Paraphrase it.
Yes, okay. Dear candidate, I read in your dissertation once about descriptive and prescriptive, but not in relation to church order. Now, looking from the legal perspective, one can have a rule like in a description. Today it's raining, for example. That, of course, that's not in a church order. Or something else would be like more prescriptive. That's more related to a norm. So when we relate this to your wish or the ecclesiastical wish to include a rule or more rules with you to interfaith marriage, would that be more like a descriptive rule or rather something like a norm, something like more prescriptive? Does that make sense to you in this way?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Learned Opponent. I think, you know, that's an...
Ora est. Thank you very much. So we had a very lively discussion. The Doctoral Dissertation Board has heard your defense and will retire now for deliberation. The session is adjourned for some 10 minutes, and then we'll come back. Thank you.
Join breakout room.
Please, Professor Singhi, you may join the breakout room.
Diselamatkan Nurais. Aku diselamatkan Nurais. Kan nanti akan manggil lagi. Mereka akan manggil lagi. Ini break. Bingung aku. Enggak ngerti aku. Apa itu preskriptif, deskriptif? Apa itu? Ini saya juga deskriptif, preskriptif. Belum. Makasih.
We'll continue in about 2 minutes.
I think that everyone has joined again. The session is resumed. Esteemed candidate, the Doctoral Dissertation Board has taken note of your doctoral thesis and has heard your defense. The board has decided to confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Theology. And I now ask the thesis supervisors, Professor Leo Kofferman and Professor Gerrit Singhi, to bestow this dignity on you in the customary manner.
By the power vested in us by law, and in accordance with the decision of the Doctoral Dissertation Board here present, I confer on you, Trimargono Meytrias Ebenheser, the degree of Doctor, including all rights and duties associated with this by law and custom, with regards to science, church, and society. As evidence of this, the degree certificate, signed by the rector and thesis supervisor, and bearing the seal of the university, will be presented to you by the co-promoter, Professor Singhi.
It's now really time to applaud.
Very learned Sir Dr. Trimargono Meytrias Ebenheser. It is my pleasure and my honor to congratulate you on the dignity of the doctorate in theology you acquired today. It is what you have worked for with dedication and energy for about 7 years. On the one hand, we can be happy that in spite of COVID-19, it is possible to celebrate this today, thanks to modern means of communication. On the other hand, we, and certainly you, have been looking forward to celebrating this in Amsterdam. And it's unfortunate that this was not possible after all. I do remember quite well the moments that we met for the first time. I think that it was early 2013. I was working in my room in the wonderful PhD facilities in Amsterdam. I still sometimes long back to that time. And I heard a modest knock on the door. I asked you to come in, and after a polite introduction of yourself, you made it quite clear that you wanted to do research in the area of church polity under my supervision in order to obtain a doctorate. There was also no doubt at all about the subject of your research. From the very beginning, it was clear that you would do research in the area of the way churches in Indonesia do deal, can deal, and as far as you are concerned, should deal with interfaith marriage. Your strong pastoral commitment to this issue is illustrated in a moving way in the witness of Lia Marpaung that you have included in the introduction of your thesis. So your strong pastoral concerns are obvious. For at least about 2 decades, you have taken to heart the problems of couples that want to celebrate mutual love in spite of religious, ethnic, and social differences. At the same time, your research witnesses to your courage. I want to express my admiration in that respect. It takes courage to publicly address an issue that can so easily cause conflict, both within the Indonesian churches and in Indonesian society and politics. The way you describe the context of civil law about interfaith marriage testifies to that and is impressive. Political and religious turmoil has dominated public discussion on the issue of interfaith marriage time and again. You could have made it much easier for yourself if you would just have taken another, less contested research subject. I think that you would have made it to your PhD anyhow, but I may be mistaken. It is also possible that your personal concerns kept you going for 7 years. Anyhow, it has been a strenuous exercise. When you started this project, the expectation was that the scholarship provided by the Indonesian government would pave the way to full-time research. But at the end of the day, this hope did not materialize. So you had to work in part-time, apart from the month every now and then that you with your family could come to Amsterdam. The Sidemukti Christian Church in Salatiga continued to be your professional priority. Not many, in fact too few, ministers in the Protestant Church in the Netherlands accept the challenge to do a PhD research while serving a congregation. My impression is that a minister in a church like the GGJ in Indonesia must deal with even more expectations from the side of the congregation that could easily frustrate study. Apart from that, language problems could be a major challenge. Nevertheless, you have worked in an admirably structured way. This week, I again looked at the proposal for your PhD study as it was accepted by the PTHU in 2013. Your dissertation completely reflects the plan that you submitted several years ago. This promotion concludes an important period in your life. At the same time, it opens new doors in the church and in the academy. Let me once again congratulate you, and let me include in that your wonderful wife, Amelia, who has certainly been your devoted partner in this project as well, and your dear daughter, Miral, of whom you are so proud. I want to express my gratitude to my colleague, honorary doctor of this university, Professor Gerrit Singhi, for his co-supervision. Your knowledge, wisdom, and ongoing commitment to this project have meant a lot for Ebenheser, but also for me. May the Lord of the Church bless you all, and I hope that in not too far the future, we will be able to meet in person again and to celebrate the friendly relationship that has developed over the last years. Thank you, Madam Rector.
Thank you, Leo. And once again, I applaud for you and for the candidate most. Thank you. We all agree with your beautiful words. Very learned, sir. This is for the first time maybe that you are addressed this way. Very learned, sir. On behalf of the Doctoral Dissertation Board, I also congratulate you on the dignity that you have acquired today. And I include your family and your church also into these congratulations. We have now come at the end of this ceremony. Of course, after our doxology, we can still stay a little bit in this Zoom session and give our own personal congratulations to the candidate, who is not a candidate anymore, who is a doctor now. That is great. So we will now close this session with the doxology. To the Almighty God, through whose light we see light, be the glory forever and ever, through Jesus Christ. Amen. Thank you. And congratulations also to both the promotories and also to those who have made this ceremony possible in a technical way. Also to Korgrit in Indonesia, who has helped a little way in organizing this. and all others, Esther and all others who made this possible in such a beautiful way. I have really had no problem in seeing or hearing any one of you, so that is a great achievement of these days. And I wish you, young doctor, and your family also health, and for today a very pleasant and a feast of today. Maybe others will also add their congratulations. Please feel free, just unmute your mic and just say what you have at heart.
My congratulations, Dr. Ebenheser, with this great book, with your doctorate. And the book is so important and courageous that I hope it finds its way to a wide readership in and outside the churches. And I wish you all blessings for you, your family, your church.
Yes, and I would like also to congratulate you on this really important work. And I would like to encourage you to go on with the Indonesian translation. And I really hope that your society will reap the rewards of your work. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, me too. I want to congratulate you, Dr. Ebenheser. Kula ngaturaken sugeng pikantuk gelar doktor. Mugi-mugi mumpangati mboten namung kangge gereja panjenengan nanging kagem sedaya umat manungsa ing alam donya menika. Thank you very much.
I would like to second my esteemed and learned colleagues to congratulate you also on your beautiful research, your great efforts, and also to combine full-time ministry or part-time ministry with doing such a research in 7 years. I would also like to congratulate your family, but also your promoters. And I wish you a beautiful day and good luck and blessings for the near future.
Yeah, Doctor, my congratulations from my side as well. We all know how demanding the church in the global south is, even more demanding than the church in the north. So we can all imagine how hard it was to finish that impressive work. And I wish you all the best. And my congratulations also to my friends and promoters, Leo Kofferman and Gerrit Sigge.
Dear colleague Ebenheser, I was sitting here today as an observer and as a listener. I wish to congratulate you with the doctor's title, and I wish for you that you will remain engaged in this interfaith marriages as spaces of negotiations, both as a pastor and as a doctor, for the sake of the individual's lives, for the sake of the church's interrelatedness within Indonesia and within larger connections within the globe, and for the sake of the societies which struggle with interfaith issues still in the 21st century. Congratulations also to my colleagues, and I hope to see you sometime. God bless you all.
Well, I think we have all said what we have at heart, and maybe we should also give the candidate the time to be at ease a little bit with his family and share drinks over there. And Gerrit Sigge, we wish you a very happy day, especially for today, for this night. For you are already in the afternoon, of course. Have a very pleasant night. As our doctor of honor of PTHU, you really made us an honor with delivering this doctor into our palmares. That is very well done.
Thank you so much.
Here,
Thank you so much.
see all.
And I'm also
isn't that
very
great?
that I can now meet my old friend Paul Kuster and also the other colleagues as well. It's a joyful evening for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Gerrit. Dr. Trimargono Ebenheser, you make a beautiful picture with, I guess, your wife and daughter. Isn't that great to see for the moment? Congratulations with that. Okay. I will leave this meeting now, but you can stay around as long as you want